Okay, so we are starting from scratch here. So I have the design here on the right. This is the Figma file, which you should have access to. And we have a blank canvas here on the left. Okay, so this is my index.html. In fact, let's just delete this. Okay, we'll start from scratch. I'm going to create a new file. Right click, new file, index.html. Okay, I've got my style.css, but it's completely blank. It's inside my CSS folder, and my index.html is completely blank. So what do? We put in an exclamation mark, hit tab, and inside our title, we're going to call this one page CV, Tommy D. P. Sweeney. Okay, it's my full name, Thomas David Peter Sweeney. Obviously, you're going to put your name in there. We also need to link our style sheet up, don't we? Style. I think that's how you do it. I keep forgetting how to do this. And it's going to be href equals dot. That means the current directory / brings up the autocomplete CSS style.css. Close that off. And I think that's right. Okay, I think that's right. If not, we'll come back to it. So that's the head done with for now. Remember, the head section is just for the meta information. The real meat of what we're doing here is inside this body tag. So here we have this large text here. And I'm going to say that's a header. So right away, I'm going to put a header in. There's only going to be one header inside the document, as there should be. And inside there, we want this header 1, which is going to be this large text there, isn't it? And I'm just going to copy this across, paste inside the H1, save. That is it. That's the header done now. Now below that, we have the main. It's the main body of the document. Okay. Inside that main, we have this. What do you think this could be? I'd say this is a section, right? And inside that section, we have, I'm going to say it's an H2. Okay. This here, about him, is in there. About him. And then we've got all this text that I just generated with our AI, basically. Okay, I didn't even write that. And that's just going to be inside the paragraph. That's that section done. Isn't it? That means we can go into the next section. Now I'm just typing, start that again. I'm just typing, say, section out, okay? Then hitting tab, and it's automatically giving me the closing tag at the end, okay? This again is going to be an H2. See it? I know it's tiny, but we're going to be styling it later. It's an H2 because the information is important. Okay, and we've already used our H1 for the title. So these are all going to be H2. Think of this just as a sort of stylized Word document. Then we've got this big fancy thing here that I don't really like, but I've put it there. So let's call that, it's going to be a link. It's an A. Ahref equals mail to, okay? Because we're going to use, when someone clicks on this on our web page, we want it to open up their email client on their phone or their desktop computer so they can send us an email. So it's mailskywriter@gmail.com. Obviously, you put your own email in there, okay? And you can put whatever you like here, but I'm going to put skywriter@gmail.com. And that's the text that's going to appear there. Okay, we're going to, when we click on this, it's going to open up our email client, our email app, and it's going to send an email. Well, it's automatically going to populate the email address as skywriter.gmail.com, and this is the text that appears in the link here, as you can see. And I'm going to call this, I need to give it a class because it's so kind of out there. Okay. The other thing we could do, of course, is to give these all IDs. There's a lot of different ways we can approach this. Okay, so like this section, for instance, we could say is, in fact, no, skip that. You can see I'm going through this sort of thought process. I'm just going to add classes, not to this, but to this here. And I'm going to call this big link, because that's exactly what it is. Big link. Then we've got this other section. Well, it's not a section actually, this is part of this section. This is part of this contact section. And that I'm going to have as a paragraph, okay? And I'm going to give that a class equals social links. Right, and then we're going to copy all this over, including the don't be shy bit. But remember, we can add a span here, can't we? We can actually just put a span inside this paragraph, which means we've got this social links paragraph, but inside we have this span that we can style differently. Okay, this is a really good use for a span actually, because we basically just get the same text here, but this one's just a little bit bigger. And that is the end of that section. And now we've got the selected works, so we need another section. Okay, and we need an H2, and that H2 is selected works. Splendid. And then we'll just get this big paragraph here, P, and we'll call it, we need to give it a class, don't we? P class equals, in fact, this is probably going to be the intro, isn't it? I'm going to call this works header. And you can see I've called it works header, which means realistically I need to call it, give it an H3. Okay, because I've used the term header, so it means I'm thinking of this as a header. Or I can maybe call it a paragraph. I'll go back to paragraph. Okay, back and forward, back and forward. What you decide on is largely up to you. But have a play about, try different things, see what you think. Okay? A lot of this, it's not hard and fast rules. So copy this across. His works have appeared in Okay. Now below we're going to need a div, I think. And this is going to be a container. We'll give this div class equals, and these are going to be works. Okay, so it'll be a works container, because these are selected works. So we'll call this, that's basically these are selected works. Okay, and inside there we're going to need 3 divs. So I'm just going to create my first div, which is this section here. Okay, the first thing we need then is an image, and the source is going to be, remember, dot, that means the current directory, / and it brings up images, photo camera. That's going to give us that. These are terrible names, by the way, but I'm just doing this for quickness. And the alt is going to be camera icon, we'll call it. Okay, and then we are going to need in there an H3, I think. Okay, photography, because that's definitely a header. Well, I think it is anyway. And then a paragraph. And we're just pasting that text directly in there. Let's see. I'll give this... No, I don't need it actually. Yeah, I do. Actually, I'm going to give this a class as well, because it'll make things a lot easier. Class equals works container, and then work. In fact, let's call it a card. Let's call each of these a card. Okay, so we've got the works container, and inside the works container we've got these cards called works container card. Naming this like that means that we know, just looking at the CSS, that these two are related. Okay, it's a lot more verbose, but it's a good thing really. It means that we can look at these two and think, ah, right, okay, that goes inside that. div class works container. I'm going to select all of this. Okay, this is the works container. I'm going to hold down Shift and Alt, and then I'm going to press down and then down again. And that's going to create 2 copies. See that? I didn't have to copy and paste or any of that nonsense. First thing I need to do here is delete this image. So I'm going to see where I'm deleting it to. I'm deleting it to just past images. I'm going to hit / again, and then it brings up this autocomplete again, doesn't it? And we want the layout filled PNG. That's for the design. And then we rename the alt. I'm moving quite fast here, I know. Design icon. Photography. Nope, this time it's design. And let's grab this text here. Okay. And we can just replace it inside this paragraph tag. Let's save that now. Let's shift across. We've got this one about film. So back to that again, delete / and it's brought this up again. Film. Photo camera. Video. Video's the icon. Film icon. Okay, and it's going to be film inside the H3 this time. See what I'm doing here? That there goes in here. Then this text here, I've edited, I've made a misspelling. Right, I'm just going to copy it anyway, it's late. And just paste it in there. And that's me get my 3 cards. And what have we got here? Just this tiny bit at the end. Okay, and that's right after the main section, and that's going to be the footer. Inside the footer, we're going to have a paragraph, and it's going to be copyright at copy Thomas D. P. Sweeney 2023. And I'm going to save that, and I think that's got all the data there. Okay, let me just go live. Let's see what we've got. And yeah, it looks like we have. That's good. So we're ready to add the CSS now. Right, so now we need to move on to, well, the hard work basically, and that's the CSS file itself. This is where all the styling is going to happen, okay? So at this point we can start looking at what it is we've got. Now, I'm going to go straight in and look at the body tag, okay? I'm going to style that. So I can just literally say body. And I'm probably going to set a width on this, okay? Because I don't want it, let's see, if we put it full, you can see it's absolutely massive. You know, we don't want it to look like that, no matter what. I'm using a 4K screen, you probably get something similar, and we don't want it stretching out like that. Okay, so I would say, let's see, I could put width on, couldn't I? And I'd say what? Let's say 1200 pixels. Right, we'll start with pixels. That's kind of nice, right? So that's probably about right. I'd say it's maybe 1200 pixels here. Now we could use rems or EMs. I'm probably going to say 80 rem. Yeah, in fact I might say 70 rem. I'm guessing here, guys. I've got to be honest. Yeah, that looks a bit right. That looks good to me. And now that we've got a width on it, right? So I've set this static width. Okay, now that's good, but when I make it smaller, what's going to happen? Look, we don't want that. Look, it's now getting to the point where I'm having to scroll horizontally because I've set this width on it. And that's it, that's quite simple. What we say now is max width. So we change width to max width. Okay, so we still have this container here. Okay, so it's still not going any wider than half the page. But when we resize it and make it smaller, it's still nice and responsive. Okay. Now we've got a width on it, we can actually set the margins. Right, now we spoke a bit about margins before, but margin 0, okay? The top and the bottom we want is 0. Now the cheeky move here is actually say auto. The left and the right is now auto. What's that going to do? It's going to center it. Okay, so the browser itself is deciding on the margins. I've set, look, the maximum size I want this is 70 rem. Okay, that's the maximum size, so it's got a width on it now. Margin in the top, I don't want any margin in the top or bottom, but left and right, you decide. And it's just basically taking up the remainder of the space on both sides. Auto, so it's deciding it, and that's now giving us the nice side effect that this is all centered. Handy. Okay. What else have we got? So we've got this, remember we did this header, didn't we? This was a header, so let's go in and decide the header. I'm actually going to say header H1. Now remember, that's the child selector. Because I'm not that interested in the header, I want the H1. I just want the text inside here. And font size, what's it going to be, do you think? 12 rem? Ooh, that's a bit too big. What's 1 rem again? 1 root element. That's 16 pixels. 32 pixels. 64 pixels. We're getting there. 64 pixels. And we've got 80 pixels. That looks good to me. Yeah, that looks kinda like it. Let's stick with that. Obviously the font's not there yet, but we can get there. Now what did we have as these? This was H2, wasn't it? These were H2, so we can style all of those in one go. It's just H2. Okay. Let's have a look at what have we got here. H2. Quite small. And they're all uppercase, so text, not a text align, but text transform uppercase. What font size is that? I'm going to say that's actually the same size as normal text, so it'll be font size 1 rem. 1 rem, 1 root element, 16 pixels. And what have we got here? Yeah, that looks about right. What about this underline? Do you remember? We could have it horizontal line. We're not going to do that. We're just going to use a border bottom. And it's going to be 1 pixels solid. I'm going to say black now. We're going to change that. We're just going to black now just so we can see it. And there it is. It's going straight across. What else do we need there? We need that bit of padding in the bottom, don't we? Padding bottom. And I'm going to say half a rem. No, I'm going to say EM. That looks quite good to me. Why am I saying EM again? Because I want it to be half the size of this font size. So if I change this to 2, it will now be, it will stay in that relationship, okay? EM takes its font size or its element from this font size here. This is where it bases its calculation. So this is currently 16 pixels because that's 32 pixels. Okay, I could have used rem, but I want this relationship to be maintained between the padding and the font size of this H2 element. Okay, we've got this. Should we say max width on this? What should we say max width to? I'm going to say 40%. 40% of the 40%. Okay, that's given us that, isn't it? That looks a bit right now. I'm almost tempted to say 2 pixels, solid black. That's starting to look a bit right, isn't it? Ooh, yeah, I'd say that's a bit right. I'm tempted to say 0.9 rem there. Now, we've got the same problem here, I think, where we have this text. We don't want it to go the full width of this page, do we? So this looks like it's about 80. We could target all paragraphs. Let's see, max width 80%. Okay, now what's it 80% of? It's 80% of its parent container. Now we need to know what that is. And that's going to be section. Okay, so every paragraph is now going to be 80% of its parent. I'm going to say we actually need that a little smaller. Let's go for 70%. Remember what I said about line height? Okay, because look at this. This doesn't look great. Let's have a look here. Yeah, that looks a lot better. So that's got quite a nice line height in it, and that is the space between individual sentences. And I'm going to say it's 1 point. Is it 1 point? Let's say 1.6. Let's see what that gives us. Yeah, that looks a lot better, doesn't it? It's a lot easier to read. Excellent. Okay, what have we got? Contact him. So there's this. I think before we go any further, we're going to need to get that background done, aren't we? Okay, and I think we'll look at that next. Right, the main business now, the glasses are on. So we want to tackle this background. And thankfully Figma gives us the code for this. So if we come into Figma, just select the wireframe 1. Okay, just wireframe 1. That's this canvas here. Forget all this other stuff. That's basically just this stuff here. We can just ignore that. Wireframe 1. Come over to inspect. Then if you see down at the bottom, now forget, you're probably going to be able to see this because it's quite small, but there's this bit that says background, linear gradient, blah, blah, blah. Now we can just take that, okay, and copy it. Then we can back into our CSS. Now, where are we going to put this? And the obvious is we want it covered. We wanted to cover the entire page, so I'm going to put it in the body. Okay. Now, what's going on here? We've got a background. It's a linear gradient at 180 degrees. We can say to and from, as some of you have quite rightly said. This is the start color at 0% up here, and then the end color, which is this kind of minty green color, is going to be right at the end. But the default color is white. Okay, I'm actually going to put that, I'm going to change that to, let's see, we'll go for red, bit of red, not any green, and a bit of blue. Okay, I'm going to say that is the sort of default color. So if that, for whatever reason, basically, if we're dealing with an old browser, for instance, that can't display gradients, we'll have this color displayed. Okay, which is quite a darky purple, which I think is quite nice. Hopefully, let's go live and see what we've got. And it's working, yeah. But what else is wrong? Well, we need to get this color white. Everything, all the text is going to be a white color. So that's easy enough, isn't it? We can just say color white. Well, in this case, I'm actually going to say FF, pure white. That's starting to look nice. Okay, but then we've got the font. This isn't the right font, is it? This is the default font. So where do we get that font? Well, let's have a wee look at Google Fonts. Okay. And the amount of fonts they've got here is absolutely ridiculous. Okay. You can test them out. So Geologica, you can literally edit the text. You can edit the text, and it'll show you what it looks like at the various sizes. Really nice. If you haven't used this before, you can also download the fonts and install them onto your computer, which is very handy. But we're looking for one called PT Sans. So, where is it? PT Sans. And there it is. Now, this is where you can select the various kinds of variations of the font. So we want the regular, which is 400. Okay. And we want the bold. I don't think we're going to use the italic. So we just need regular and bold. You can see it's actually given us the code here for this to be pasted directly into our HTML file, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use an import. Okay. And this means that we can put it directly in our CSS file. Okay. Let's make that smaller. Bring it up here. And we can put this right at the top of our CSS file. And that's going to download that file directly from Google. And one of the nice things about this, if someone else has used this font on their web page and the user has visited that web page, this will already be in the system. It will be cached. Okay. Now, the other thing we need is, if we go back to Google Fonts, is the font family. Now, I'm going to put this directly in the body. Just paste that in there. So PT Sans, that's the first choice. Okay, that it's downloading from here, getting directly from Google. And sans serif is the second choice. If it can't get that, if it's offline or whatever, it's going to opt for sans serif. And look what's happening. We're starting to get to the point now where this is looking a bit like the mock-up, isn't it? We've got a bit to go yet. But it's starting to get there. Let's have a look at the mock-up quickly. What else have we got here? We've got this. Let's inspect that. We've got this text shadow. See it? Just ever so slightly. I'm going to zoom right in. See it? We've got this nice little drop shadow that sort of helps it pop right out of the screen. One of the nice things about this is, if you go right down to the inspect, so we're in design, I'm selecting the text, going to inspect, and we've got the code right at the bottom, text shadow. So I'm going to steal that, Control C, and put that into our header, H1. And I'm going to save that off, and that gives us that nice little drop shadow. You can see it here. Okay, so that, I think, is starting to get there. One thing before we move on to the next section is these little lines, okay? Remember we put us in as a border. Where did we put it again? Header H1. No, it was H2. We just need to change the colour of those to white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is tackle these links, okay? We want to make this skywriter@gmail.com look a little bit more like this here, and this don't be shy section here. So we're going to tackle this section next, and then we'll come back and we'll do some of the padding, what have you, okay? There we go. So our next section to look at is just this big link section here, isn't it? So let's go into index, and I think we've got an A class equals big link. So that's what we can style here. We can say A dot big link. We've got two options here because we can just actually get rid of the A here, and that means we can reuse this class pretty much on anything. Okay, if we say a.bigLink, that means we can only use this class on links. Okay, on ahref. I'm just going to keep it the way it is, a.bigLink, just because I want it more specific at this moment in time, but we may want to use this elsewhere. If so, we might want to change the name of it. So let's have a look at our big link here. So this is in the Figma file, and it's 64 pixels, okay, and it's bold. Now right away we can say font size, we could say 64 pixels, and that will bring it right up to the size we want. Better way of saying that, I think, is 4 rem. Remember, 1 rem is 16 pixels, 4 rem will be 64. We need a font weight, bold. And we need to change the color, don't we? So this is a link, so it doesn't inherit its color properties from its parent. Okay, so it doesn't inherit from body actually, which we've set color to be white. Okay, links don't inherit color from text, and rightly so, because we want to try and differentiate that from normal text. Remember, we're sort of fighting the original style sheet that's built into the browser here. So we'll have to set the color to white, and I'm just going to do it, rather than saying white, I'm just going to give it FFF. That's great. We've got a bit of a jump here, and I'm going to say that's actually 1 rem. That's about 16 pixels between here and the don't be shy section. The way I would do that is always just to put a margin on the bottom of an element. It's the simplest way, so we can say margin bottom, and again we probably want to use ems rather than rems. So if I say EM here, it's going to be keying off this font size, isn't it? So if I say margin bottom, say 1 EM, it's not worked. That's interesting. So that should be 1 EM, should be the same size as this 4 rem. Let's try rem. Not worked. Why is that? Now if I put in margin bottom, so here we have this. This isn't moving. Doesn't matter if I put in pixels or m or rem. What's 8? That's 4 times 8. That's huge, and yet it's still not. It still doesn't have a margin, or does it? Let's inspect this. It does have a margin. That big yellow bit is the margin. However, remember, an A link is an inline element, which means that it doesn't matter how many margins you set or padding, it doesn't actually affect what surrounds it. Because remember, a link is supposed to be embedded within text. So it's an inline element. Now, if I change this to a block level element, which is how we're treating it here, we're treating it almost like it's a div. So if I say display block, look what's happened. That's kicked in. So it's now respecting the margin bottom. So if we bring that back to 1 EM, it's given us that space that we're looking for. Okay. If I take away display block, or if I put it back to its default, which is display inline, it gets rid of it. So in this case, we actually do want the display block, and that brings that down to about the level we want. I'm actually going to say 0.8 EM. Okay. Now we've got this don't be shy. What does this look like? how have we set this up? Don't be shy. So it's bigger than this other text. This other text is just 16 pixels. So I think this is called social links, isn't it? It's a P, and it's got the class social links. So let's just bring this here. P.social links. Okay, and this is don't be shy. So this text looks about the same size as what I'm looking for. Yeah, this looks fine here. But it's this don't be shy bit. Now remember, we put in this span and don't be shy. So what we can say is p.social links, and then its child is a span, because we just want to change the size of the span here, don't we? The font size, I'd say, is going to be what, 2 rem, shall we say? And it's made it bigger. Wait a minute, it's not got that. Look, it's in line. So we're going to probably have to change the display again to a block. And there we go, we've got the don't be shy, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. But look what we've got in here. We've got Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Now if we look here, we need these here to be links, I think, don't we? See it? Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, these should actually be links. So when you click on them, it'll take you to your Instagram, your Twitter, your Facebook or whatever. And they've been styled differently. They've just been bold or emboldened, to give it the correct word. So first thing we need to do is to put Instagram and to put that inside an A tag. Okay, and then whatever the link is to your Instagram, put that back in. We're going to have to do the same with Twitter. If any of you actually use Twitter, I used to use Twitter all the time. I don't touch it now. And Facebook, all right, let's take that out. I'm putting a link in, just a temporary link now. That's just the hash mark. That means that the link will basically just take you nowhere, but it will register as a link. So when you hover over it, you get the wee pointy hand thing. Facebook. And look what's happened again. It's went back to this default colour. So in this case, what we could do is actually come back up here, back up to the top, body, and then put in A. Okay, so we're going to style all A here, because we want all of them to have the colour white, don't we? And there we go. That's made those white. It also means we can come down here and get rid of the colour white on our big link, and it will also work. So this is the Cascade kicking in. Well, these are inheriting from this top level selector. So there's inheritance there. So in this case, we have these links inside these social links. So we can get to those again by saying p.social links. So get them through that class. In this case, we're going to go for all of the A tags. Okay, so we want, if we look at the style again, you can see these ones are bold, but they don't have the underline. So we can say text decoration, and it's going to be none. Okay, you can see it's just targeted these ones here. We also want the font weight to be bold, and that's given us these nice little links here, just like we designed. What's going to happen if I get rid of this, do you think? If I get rid of this whole preamble here? It affects all A tags, okay? Because we're not being specific, so it affects every link, including this one here. Bring it back in, it only affects these. Okay, so this A tag is going to inherit from this A tag. Okay, so it's going to take the base color from there, but it's going to add in its own styles as well, and that's the text decoration and the font weight. I'm going to say we probably want, if we just nip back here, we've got quite a jump here, haven't we? But we've got these large spaces between both. So this here I would actually put on the section. See that big margin at the bottom? I'm going to suggest that we put that in each section. Why am I doing that? Because everything that we've done is encased in a section. So there's a section there, there's a section there, and here's a section here. Okay, they're all inside these sections. So if I say margin bottom, let's say 2 EM, which is 32 pixels in this case. It's going to push, no it's not, it's EM. And it's not worked. Section 32 EM. Why is that not worked? Let's try rem. Am I overwriting something? Margin bottom looks good to me. Section. Yeah, it's definitely there. Do we have to make it much bigger? 4 EM? We do, right? We have to go right up to 8 EM, and that's going to make it about the size we're looking for. That's all it is. 8 EM. Let's try rem. See what that thinks. Nah, it's the same in this case. Okay, so we're kind of getting there. It's just this section here we've got to tackle, and that'll be the final section. Okay. After that, I think we'll have pretty much the look that we wanted, that we started off with. Just this final section. Okay. And we're nearly there. Okay, let's tackle these here. Now, I'm noticing right away that these aren't evenly sized. And what's worse than that is that they've different padding on it, different margins. So we're not going to be able to get these to look the exact same, which is really disappointing. One of the ways I might get around that actually is just to put, say, like a border around them all, like a white border, or maybe put, a sort of circular border around them. You can see it here, like that's coming away from the edge, that isn't, and this one is way bigger. This is a common scenario, especially with these kind of cheaper icons. The best thing to do is to use something like Font Awesome for this, and I didn't, so this is what I get. But anyway, let's tackle this. So if we come into our HTML, we've got these, works container, so works container, let's grab that first. And that's just a div. Works container, and I'm going to give it a nice big border so we can see it. Border, 8 pixels, solid red. And you can see it has these three things, these three cards inside it. Now we want these to be right next to each other, and I know we haven't looked at this, but the best thing to use is a display flex. This is Flexbox, okay? And you can see what's happened right away. That solved all our problems. One of the things I was going to do here was actually go through it with floats, and I thought, no way. It's just, I had a little experiment earlier, I thought it's just going to confuse you. We're going to be using Flexbox more in the future, and it's one of the things you really have to know. So I think we might as well just start using it now, and you can see what's happened. It solved our problem almost right away, which is absolutely fantastic. And then we've got these cards inside, okay? So we've got the three of them next to each other. You can actually see, like I say, you've got these images that don't look so good. So inside that flex container, we've got these divs called works container card. So these are the flex children. Works container card. And let's give these a nice like blue border or something. 8 pixels, solid say, what do you think, blue? Just so we can differentiate it. And you can see what's happened. These have just basically filled up the Flexbox 100%, which is great. Now, what do we need? We need to get inside this works container card. We need to get inside that and get our hands on the image first of all. Okay. You can see our design, they should be a lot smaller. So I'm going to say the width, or the max width, should be about 33%. 33% of what? In fact, even that may be a bit too big. 33% of the parent container, which is works container card. Maybe 25%? We'll say 25%. I think that looks okay. That's us getting there. And that should do for now. What else do we need in there? Well, we've got this works container card, and inside that we've got this H3. Okay, that's this here, this photography, design, film. What aspect did we give that? So photography, PT Sans 32, so 2 rem, and a line height of 170. It's not bold or anything. So font size is 2 rem. Strangely, it's bold. Why is it bold? It should be bold. But it's inheriting from H3. It's inheriting the default styles in the browser. So we have to say font weight normal, and that'll bring it back. I think that looks good. We just put the line height in. Thankfully, because we've already got this nice separation, because why? Because it's inherited it from H3. We'll talk a bit about resets so we can get rid of all these default styles. Okay, but I want to just show you what it's like initially if you don't do that, because this is how most people start. So we've got almost there actually, I think. Haven't we? I think we're almost there. Okay, there's not as much of a gap there actually. No, looking at that H3 is creating too much of a gap. Photography, and yeah, it's because of the default margins of 32. Isn't it? So, yeah. I'm going to go back actually, and we'll get to this H3. Margin 0, padding 0. You can see what's happened, it's brought it in. Still got a bit of a space there, but it has got rid of it. We will actually tackle all of these in one go using a reset, okay? This isn't necessarily how you do it, but I'm just being very specific at the moment. Let's container card H3, font size 2 rem, and this looks a lot better. Let's see why we still get these spaces here. It's because of the paragraph. The paragraph itself has got default styling on it. But we don't want that default styling. Padding 0, margin 0, and that will apply to all paragraphs. And now we're getting somewhere. Okay? Now we're starting to get somewhere. Who does that? Okay, let's make that image a little small. I'm going to make it 20%. And then with that H3, so this here, then we can add in our own margin. Right, our own margin at the bottom. And that's going to be 1 EM. That's kind of brought us back to where we were. But now we have complete control over it. So now it's 0.8 EM. That looks way better. Photography, design, film. Let's see, how does that compare? A bit of a space between photography and the image, which we've kind of got, but it doesn't look 100%. I'm going to start taking away these. Let's see. Let's get rid of the border. Let's get rid of the border. And we're almost there. What's this here? This works header. Because we've reset the paragraph, didn't we? We reset it by taking away the padding and the margin. Now we have to add our own padding and margins in. So P-box header, margin bottom, 1 EM. I'm going to say, what do you think, 2 EM? There we go. And that is kind of, let's say, kind of the same. Pretty much the same, do you think? The only thing we've got is we've got these. What were these again? These headers. H3, margin padding, border bottom. So these are H2s, but look how far they're going across. So we're probably going to say max width of 50%. And you can see what that's done. That's made it shorter. That's made these lines underneath shorter. What else have we got that should? With these paragraphs here, they should probably be about 50% max as well. Should we make all of these max width 50%? Yeah, that seems to work actually. Let's see if I bring that. Ooh, you can see the problem we've got when we resize it though. Yeah. So we're going to have a look at that when it comes to making this responsive. Interesting. For now, I think we've got something here. The only thing we need to add is this nav. Especially nav, and inside there's this paragraph, isn't there? And that's what the paragraph looks like there. So I'm going to say margin. Remember the other way we can do it? So margin top and bottom. So we'll say 1 EM, left and right, 0. Top right. Let's see, let's try 2 EM. Why has that not worked? Let's get into the bottom. It's because it's a footer with a paragraph in it. It isn't a nav. What an idiot. Footer. Is it going to work this time? Yeah, it's worked. What do you think? Is that about right? Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. I think this is kind of close enough. Right, so this is our finished article here on the left, and this is our design on the right. You can see there's going to be some clear differences. The reason is this is static, okay? This is designed to appear exactly like this, exactly at this size. This, even though we haven't done much to make it responsive, if we move this, everything changes. I mean, that's the way it would look in a mobile phone. It doesn't look ideal. And you can see there's some issues here. Obviously, we can get around that with media queries and various other tools that we'll be finding out about in the future. But that looks about right, I think. So, good luck making your own, basically. I hope that's been some help to you. Any questions? You know where I am. Okay? So I'll see you guys soon.